Hello, Ben. Okay, so I have Ben with me, and Ben, you have a problem, I think, with one of the videos that I recently put out about presuppositional apologetics. Do you want to go ahead and explain your position?
Well, it's not much of a problem. I just somehow found it a little bit weird when you say that, talking with presuppositionalists doesn't lead to anywhere. It's useless. And I was trying, it seemed to me that you were like misrepresenting side there, and somehow I had issues with that. And then you called me out to, talk about this.
What do you mean
And
I
then
called you out?
Well, you asked me if I wanted to talk. Well, actually, I wouldn't say that you called me out. You asked me
Okay.
if I wanted to talk. So
Yeah, okay, because yeah, the an expression over here is when someone says call you out, it means like challenge you or something. I don't mean to
right,
come
right,
off like
right.
that sort of thing.
I
Okay.
understand. I understand. I know what you're talking about. I'm sorry that
No,
I
no,
didn't
that's
find the
fine.
right words.
That's fine. So,
Yeah.
what issue did you have with the video, or what issue did you have with my argument then?
You said that there could be wrong about you. What are you talking about?
So, Ben, you're just cutting out a little bit. Can you repeat that for me, please?
I was asking that presupposition say could not be wrong. Oh, they don't want to accept be wrong about it. And I was wondering, like, what? What do you mean wrong? Wrong about?
Okay, so you are cutting out quite a bit, but I'll try to restate your question the best that I can understand it. Why do I say that a presuppositionalist won't accept if he or she is wrong? Hello?
You're cutting off a little bit. I don't know if I'm the one cutting off.
I think it's you,
Can,
but yeah, I can hear you now. Okay, go ahead, repeat your question for me.
yeah, my question was why did you say that presuppositionalists they don't accept that they could be wrong? As in, what do you mean?
Okay. If you
Wrong about
start,
what?
yeah, if you start with the belief, if the axiomatic belief you begin with is God exists, then it's very difficult to try to convince that person that God doesn't exist. And if they are wrong about that belief, then they'll refuse to admit it since they're dogmatically tied to believing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand, but I want to ask you a question also. Are atheists out here to convince
Oh, I
theists that
think,
there's no God? Hello?
hey, okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, I was asking you. I said I will ask you a question. Are atheists out here to convince Christians or theists that there's no God?
Do atheists have to do that? No.
Yeah, I mean, are they out there to convince people that there's no God? That's my question.
I
Because you
don't
said that if
I don't
you
think
start
so.
with the presupposition that there's a God, it's hard for you to convince somebody that there's no God. So I was
If they're
wondering if
wrong, if they're wrong, if you and I are going to have a conversation about truth, however we define truth, then it would be impossible for you to deny your axiomatic starting point. Now, I'm not coming to this conversation saying there is no God and I'm going to convince you that there is no God. I could just as easily come to this conversation saying, I don't know whether or not there is a God, but let's get to the bottom of it. Now, when talking to a presuppositionalist, if it's true that there is no God, you won't accept that. And if it's not true, if there actually is a God, then it seems like you're unable to give me a way of knowing that.
yeah, the problem is that you cannot make sense of truth without God. So, now, to say that, if it's true or not true that there's no God, we have to try to convince each other about that. I won't take that position.
Okay, what do you define truth as?
Truth is whatever God says or
Okay,
whatever
so by
confirms to the word
definition,
of
I
God.
don't believe that that exists. When I
That's
use the
okay.
word truth, I don't use it with that meaning.
That's
So
okay.
you're trying to, or presuppositionalists in general, are trying to sell me a cure to a problem that I don't have. you're claiming that I can't make sense of truth unless I believe in God. And I'm saying that that's not how I use truth.
No.
Okay.
That's not our position. That's not our position that atheists, I mean, well, maybe, can you restate that? Because our position, well, I will try to
Okay, I'll restate it. It seems to me
restate that.
like you just said, I can't account for truth, or I can't understand truth, or I can't make sense of truth unless I believe in God. And I'm saying that the way you're using the word truth is not the way that I'm using the word truth. So you're saying that I have a problem within my worldview that doesn't exist because you're fabricating that problem and offering the supposed solution to it.
I'm not fabricating the problem.
Okay.
How am I fabricating the problem?
What problem do you have with me and truth? What do you think my issue is with truth?
You cannot account for truth apart from the Christian God.
Okay, that's a problem, right? You say that's a problem.
Yeah, in your worldview, yes.
Okay, all right. So you're saying I have a problem with my worldview. And my worldview is I can't account for truth unless I believe in God. Now, by truth...
No, that's not your worldview. Your worldview is the atheistic one. And I'm saying that within the atheistic worldview, you cannot account for truth.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just trying to reformulate it a little bit. You're saying that I, as an atheist, cannot account for truth because I don't believe in God. And that's a problem for my worldview, according to you. Now, what I'm saying is what you mean by truth isn't a part of my worldview. So my worldview is coherent. You're saying that I can't account for something, and I'm telling you, I don't think that thing even exists. Truth.
No. I'm saying that you cannot account for truth within your worldview.
I understand that.
Yeah,
and that
regardless
to me,
of whether you want to accept that my worldview is true or false, that's something else. We're talking about your worldview now, and I'm saying that you cannot account for truth.
I understand.
If you can, I would like to hear you.
Okay. For truth. All right. Please define truth again for me.
I've already said within my worldview, truth is that which corresponds to the mind of God.
Okay.
In the simplest terms, whatever God said.
Okay. So I don't need to account for that because I don't believe a God exists.
No, I'm not asking you to account for God. I'm asking for you to account for truth within your worldview.
Okay, well, whenever I use the word truth, I don't mean what you mean. Now, if you want to get into what I mean by truth, I'd be happy to do that. Is that where you want to go?
That's exactly what I've been asking you for a long time.
Well, it doesn't seem that way, but okay. I wrote it down in one of my papers that I wrote a while ago. I can't seem to remember exactly the definition, but truth is that whichever creates a coherent or fits into a coherent web of beliefs that correlates to posited or postulated entities.
So are you saying that the truth creates things? Is that what you're saying?
No. We as human beings are bombarded with sense experience constantly.
Okay.
And in order to make sense of this sense experience, we interpret it in different ways. And some of the ways we do that are by positing things. For example, if I put out my hand and I touch this microphone, it makes sense for me to think that there is actually a microphone out there. Now, a statement like there is a microphone in front of me is true insofar as it corresponds with the other beliefs within my framework of beliefs, and it refers to something which I posited in existence, this microphone, right?
And how do you know that those other beliefs are true?
Well, I just gave you a definition of truth. You know what? I'll actually look it up, what I wrote.
Okay, read it. I mean, one of the definitions the atheists tend to give about truth is that which corresponds to reality. I don't know if you hold to that belief, to that definition also.
I don't personally use that definition.
Okay. Try to find your definition then and give it to me.
Yeah, I'm just looking for it here.
Sure.
It's difficult to remember exactly what you wrote in a paper.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand. I understand. It's very normal.
okay.
So what you're going to do is that you're going to give me a definition of truth and tell me how do you account for that within your worldview. So
Yeah,
you try to find that definition and give it to
yeah,
me, and you explain me how do you account for it within your worldview.
yeah. I just want to make sure that I get the wording right. I
That's
kind
okay.
of I kind of did.
That's okay.
Truth
Go
is
ahead.
still looking for it here. I'll keep looking for it, but essentially,
You can look for
actually,
it, and we can talk about something else within the same topic of presuppositionalist. I would like
yeah,
to ask you a question, if you don't mind.
sure.
So, do you believe that you're not a presuppositionalist?
Do I believe I'm not a presuppositionalist?
So, I'm
What's
going
a
to ask you a question.
presuppositionalist?
Okay, do you know what a presupposition is?
I know what a presupposition is, but I want to know what your definition of a presuppositionalist is to see if I fit that description.
Okay, presuppositionalists would be people who presuppose things. Oh, a presuppositionalist position is the position that people that regards the beliefs of people. I mean, things that people take into the evidence. Because there are things that you presuppose before you even start to analyze an evidence. For instance, let's say you can presuppose the validity of your reasoning, you can presuppose the validity of your memory, you can presuppose the validity of your experience. In other words, like Jason Lyle once posted it, it would be like a framework of unjustified, if you will,
Mm,
positions that people take within the evidence. The things that people hold them to be true before they even evaluate the evidence.
okay.
That's what presupposition
I
is.
don't think I make presuppositions like that. I think I
It's
make
okay. It's okay.
suppositions based on experience, but I don't
Okay, but
think
that's
I
what I'm saying, though. I'm saying
presuppose.
that the ability for you to experience things, you think, you presuppose that your experiences are valid, and so
No,
that's a
what do you mean by experiencers are valid? Because when I use valid, I speak as a philosopher and I deal with arguments. An
okay.
argument can be valid or invalid, but how is an experience valid? That doesn't make sense to me.
You think that the things that you have experienced, that are true, you presuppose them to be true.
I don't
For instance,
presuppose them to be true. I can post suppose, I guess, but I don't presuppose them to be true.
yeah. You see what's happening between us right now. It's a conversation, right? But at the same time, you're experiencing this conversation that's happening right now between us, right? You agree with that?
I am experiencing something which I think to be a conversation, yes.
Okay, exactly. And you presuppose to be true.
No, no,
Because okay, if it
I
wasn't, you would
think
have stopped. You would have stopped this
no.
conversation a long time ago.
The presupposition seems to imply that before I even have the conversation, I need to believe that I'm going to have a conversation,
That
right?
you're having exactly that you're having a conversation right now. That
But that's
that
not
your
what's
senses
happening.
are
What's
valid.
happening right now, as far as I'm concerned, is not what we just said. Not that first I suppose I'm having the conversation, then I have the
Yeah,
conversation, but
yeah.
exactly the reverse. First, we have a conversation, and that leads me to believe that we're having a conversation.
You're breaking up a bit. Can you repeat that?
Of course.
Yeah,
So a presupposition, right, would
yeah.
be I believe we're going to have a conversation, and then we have a conversation. Now, what I think I'm doing is the exact
No, no,
opposite,
no.
an
Okay,
inversion of
no.
that.
But what I was saying is that you're experiencing a conversation right now. You believe that you're having a conversation with me right now,
Yeah,
and
I
you
believe that.
presuppose, and you presuppose that. By the way, that would kind of push us a little bit to what we call induction. You
Yes.
presuppose that that the words that you're gonna, speak 5 seconds from now, they mean the same thing that you have been saying.
Well,
Few,
I don't presuppose that. I come to
of
that
course, you
conclusion based
presuppose
on
them.
past experience.
Past experience. Don't you see that that's circular?
No.
Okay, so you
How
presuppose that
how
your
is
world.
trying to make inferences, trying to make reliable inferences about future events
Yeah.
from past events circular?
Okay. Okay. I know that I'm not gonna die
Okay, why is that?
because I've never died in the past.
That's true, but are you a human?
Yes, I'm human.
Okay, well, all the empirical evidence we have about humans are that humans eventually die. So
And you
that
know what? You
that
know
bit of
what,
evidence
Christian?
you have doesn't stand up to the vast amounts of evidence we have gained as a
No,
society.
no, 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 no. You know what? It's my experience. I've never died in the past,
That's true.
regardless of whether I'm like other humans. I've never died in the past.
Okay.
So I can assume that I will not die.
You can try to make that inference, but I'll tell you that that inference isn't reliable
Well,
because of
exactly.
the vast amount of
And it
evidence
shows, it
to the
shows,
contrary.
and it shows that the argument that you just used, that you can use past experience to validate future experience, is fallacious.
No, it doesn't, because what you did was present an example of that with very, very minimal evidence supporting your conclusion. And what I'm doing is supporting my conclusions with a vast
What
amount
evidence
of
from the
evidence.
past? You're using past experiences to validate the future.
I know, but if you have a whole lot of past experiences and they all seem to correspond, then you can reliably make inferences about the future. Now, if you
No,
have
but I have
one
past a lot
single
of past
experience,
experience. Christian, I have a lot. I'm sorry for catching you, but
no, that's fine.
I was just gonna say that I have a lot of past
Past experiences
experiences
of you not
of
dying. I
which
understand.
exactly, and
I
I can come to
understand
the
that.
conclusion that I'm not gonna die.
You can, but I would tell you that we as a human society
Yeah,
have a lot more experience and a lot more reason to think that all humans die. Now, is it
and
necessarily true? No, it might be the case that in the future, who knows? Maybe you're the first person that will never die. Do I have a
so you
good
don't
reason
know.
to believe that? No.
So yeah, so you don't know if I'm not gonna die or not. Do you?
I know as far as when I use the term no, I use it with degrees of certainty, right? So
Okay,
I can say
okay,
with a high degree of certainty, not with
yeah,
absolute certainty, but with a high
yeah.
degree of certainty, I can say I'm
What's a
confident
high
in saying
degree of
that one day
certainty?
you might die. A
What's a
high
high?
degree of certainty is the weight of certainty that you give a proposition based
Mm-hmm.
on the available evidence you have for it, for its likeliness to be true. Speaking of true, I have that definition of true that you
Go
asked
ahead,
me
go
for.
ahead, go ahead.
Okay, so I would propose, at least as a starting point, that a belief can be seen as true if it conforms to a coherent framework of beliefs, which itself conforms to the characteristics of a conceptual, posited external existence. That's my
Exactly.
definition of truth.
Okay, so that's exact same thing that I gave you at the beginning. That
No, it isn't.
truth according to atheism is that which compares to reality.
No, my definition's a little bit different than that.
Okay, let
I'm
me ask you.
not. Yeah, go
Let me
ahead.
ask you. Let me say this. So, are you saying that truth is that which comports with that which you believe?
A part of truth is that it must be coherent with everything else you believe.
Everything yes you believe. So,
Yeah.
truth it's a belief. It's not a certainty
Um,
claim.
well, you can believe things that are true. Beliefs can be true. Not all beliefs are true, but some
Okay.
beliefs can be.
Okay. And how do you determine which belief is true and which one is not?
Excellent question. By figuring out if it conforms to your coherent framework of beliefs that you have, and if it conforms to the characteristics of some posited external existence. Not
And who
not
gets
some
to posit?
actual,
And who
not some
gets to
actual.
and who
Well,
gets to
we
posit
posit
that?
them, we as human beings. Now,
When you
if
say
you were
we,
the only human being alive, then you would
yeah.
posit it,
Okay,
right?
when you say we, who are you talking about?
Any conscious agent.
Okay, great. Then we have three, or let's say 4 billion people in this planet. All
Yeah.
of them believe in God. So does that make it true?
Do all of them believe in God?
Yes.
And this conceptual, posited external existence, does it provide a reliable framework of making accurate predictions?
That's
And does it
exactly
have
what
a
I
whole
asked
lot
you.
of explanatory power?
That's what I asked you at the beginning. You said you posit something. When you posit something, you don't have to justify it.
No, yes, you do. When you pause,
Okay.
things are posited as an explanation for things and as a way of trying to produce accurate predictions. For example, I posited this microphone.
Hmm.
Now, for you and I don't think you would make me try to defend that posit, but I could. I could say that I posit this microphone because it explains the experience that I'm having. It explains how I can be talking to someone across the world, and it also provides me with future predictions. Like if I hit it, it would fall, or if I threw it on the ground, it would break, or if I threw it up in
Let
the
me
air,
ask you.
eventually it'd hit me in the head, falling on its way down, right?
Okay, okay, Christian, are
Yeah.
you? My question is, let me ask you this: Are you? Can you maybe try to explain to me what do you mean by posit? When you say posit, what do you mean by that?
Okay. A posit
Hmm.
is something that we make up and we
Okay,
say that exists.
okay,
That's
then
that's a very entry level definition of a posit.
if somebody had to make up the idea that God exists, will then that used to we can use everything else to prove that position?
Pardon? My
The
dog thought he
first,
heard someone at the door. One
yeah,
second.
yeah.
Okay. Can you repeat that for me?
No, I was just gonna say that if you said posit is something that we make up, So are you saying that the justification of your true beliefs or anything that you think is true is just the result of you comparing it to what you have already posited, which is something that you already made up?
Well, you posit things as an explanation. So you don't explain things. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. You posit things as an explanation, right? So you experience something and you
Yeah.
try to give an explanation for it by
Okay.
positing the existence of things.
Okay. So let me give you this. Maybe let's see if you agree with it. I looked at almost the genetic code of almost a lot of animals out
Okay.
there, and it's very similar. And then I came to the conclusion that the idea that there's a common designer is true. Would you accept that?
Um, I it doesn't seem to fit in with everything else I believe, but I can change everything else I believe. So I would ask you, does it provide you with a good explanation and does it have predictive power? Can you make
Yeah, pretty
predictions
much.
based on that?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, so what I would say to that is the model of evolution provides far more explanation and far more predictive power.
Mm.
So we should accept that instead of what you're proposing.
Okay, then. I will accept what I accept. You accept what you accept.
No, it's not. It's not just I'll accept whatever I accept. Is I'll
Yeah.
accept whatever is the best explanation and whatever can provide
Are
the
you
best
saying? Are
means
you
of making
saying?
predictions for the
Are you
future.
saying that the similarity within animals wouldn't conclude to a common designer?
Not necessarily. I mean, that could be an explanation for it, but I don't
Hmm.
think that provides us with a very good explanation because then that common designer is unexplained. Further, I don't think it provides us with any explanatory power since we can't, or future predictive power, because we can't make any predictions about what future organisms are going to be like. Whereas with evolution, we can
Oh, you
to an
okay?
extent.
Okay. Well, can you predict to me how humans would look like 100 years from now
Now,
or 1,000 years from now?
I could try. I mean, based on our evolution
Would
thus
they be able
far,
to fly? Will
well,
they?
based on our evolution thus far, it seems
Hmm.
very unlikely that we'd be able to fly. It seems like the more intelligent a species is,
Okay,
or
so you think
when we
humans will
talk
get
about
more
ourselves,
intelligent?
we seem to be more intelligent than other animals. We have better capacities for
Oh,
thinking, for
really?
thought, for manipulating things. So we don't rely as heavily
No, no, no,
on
no, no. We're
things
not
such
talking
as,
about other. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry for.
well, we don't rely on things such as strength or speed or flight as other animals do.
Okay.
So our future descendants would probably, unless there was some kind of mass, extinction or whatever, or some event that I'm not aware of, they would probably be weaker, but with bigger brains and smarter than us. That's, you know, to an extent, that's probably what it would be like. But a real world example of making predictions as to what future generations will be like is developing vaccines, right? We develop vaccines and we try to figure out how will the diseases or how will the organisms we're trying to fight evolve so that they can counter these vaccines, and how should we tailor the vaccines to counter those possible future ones. That's how the flu vaccine works as far as I'm concerned. They don't know which strain is going to be affecting people. They try to guess which one it is and create a vaccine for it. That's to the best of my understanding.
But that's not evolution, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if you give me the explanation of a common creator can do all this stuff, and if someone gives me an explanation of evolution can do all this stuff, and it can do more, and it can explain more of what we see, and we can use that to make future predictions, then it's really a no-brainer which one I should go with.
Okay, common designer. Let's take the example of Apple. They've been designing smartphones for quite a while now, and they look alike. They still have the same outlook, and they're getting developed almost every day. That's an example of a common designer.
Yes.
iPhone 6 will be almost like iPhone 7. It was a little bit almost like iPhone 5.
Yeah.
You know, I wish they could design a phone that, you know, would be able to upgrade itself, because I would really call them very smart.
Yeah,
you know, a phone that would adapt with time, you know, with ability to adapt with time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's an example of a common designer.
Yeah, that is an example of a, well, maybe not common designer, because maybe different people design different phones. But yeah, that's an example of design. And I have a video about that very example that you gave. And in that video, I explain why it's a bad example to try to refute evolution.
Why it's a bad example?
Well, do phones reproduce sexually or asexually?
Well,
or by any other means.
If a being has ability to reproduce, that's much more intelligence than somebody designing a phone, bro. Don't you think?
Does a phone have the ability? And it's not more intelligent.
But that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. Human has intelligence. You understand? Has ability to create things. Do you know why? I think we should go back to the presupposition position. But anyway,
well, let's finish up where we're at, because
exactly.
My point about the phone thing. Hold on, my point about the phone thing is that phones don't reproduce, whereas living organisms do. So to try to paint phones as if they should be analogous to evolution in any sense is erroneous. Now, for you to say that organisms reproduce, therefore they're more intelligent, no. They could be more complex, I'll grant you that, but more intelligent, that doesn't seem to follow. Just because something reproduces doesn't mean it's more intelligent.
No, you're the one who talked about intelligence. You said humans would probably be more intelligent than they are today.
Yeah, probably.
The thing that I was gonna say though is that a human being or an organism that has an ability to reproduce is far more complex or more designed than an iPhone.
It might be more complex, but I reject the notion that it's more designed.
Exactly, because you come with the presupposition that there's no such a thing as a designer. That's why.
No, because the word design has baggage to it, which I don't think you can apply to this circumstance. I'll agree that it's more complex.
That's what I'm saying though, because the idea of a designer doesn't fit in your worldview. That's why if somebody says something about a designer, you just deny it. No, it's not a design.
No, okay. Well, if you want to explain to me how the model of design, I'm open to changing my mind. If you can explain to me how the model of intelligent design provides us with better explanatory power and the ability to make more accurate predictions about the future than evolution does, I'm all ears. Go ahead and explain that to me.
Okay, wonderful. Let me try to put this to you. Evolutionists back then, they used to believe that, you know, the human DNA, it had a junk DNA within it. Many creationists said no, they don't have a junk DNA.
What did you just say?
Let me just finish and then I'll let you.
Okay, I want to clarify what you just said because I didn't get it.
Okay, I said many evolutionists back in the days, they used to say that, human beings have DNA that is junk within them. But
Okay.
many creationists say that no, there's no such a thing as it's junk DNA. We just haven't found the functionality or what it is supposed to do within the human body. But
Okay.
by time we might probably find it, and it was found. It was found that human being that's such a thing that people call junk DNA. It has a very high functionality within the functioning of the. Oh, it had a purpose in the functioning of the human heart.
Sure.
Evolutionists back then they used to believe that humans' appendix was vestigial, but
Sure.
then we find out that it had a function. They used to believe that that thing that they call a tailbone didn't have a function, but we found out that it has a function. Evolutionists used to believe back then that some people in Australia had to be killed and they had to take their skulls back to United States to compare their schools to that of a white man, just to show that the white man is more evolved than the guys there over there in Australia. A
Sure.
guy a guy called Otabengo was put in a zoo in the United States just to say that, okay, look at this guy right here. Is an example of how humans evolved.
Okay.
So I mean, all of those stuffs have been proven wrong. And
Okay.
the creationist or intelligent design position is the one that's being proven right all the time.
Okay, well, I'd argue with you on that. But first of all, I want to ask you, you talked a lot about what past people thought, what the evolutionary theory may or may not have held in the past. I want to ask you, do people still think that today, or did the theory of evolution or the people who put
Well,
forward
well,
ideas change their minds and say, you know what, we were wrong, now we think they're
yeah,
different
yeah.
things?
What would they think? What would they think that they've been proven wrong? What they
I
can
know,
keep
but what I'm
thinking that
asking is,
because they've
what
been
do they
proven
think
wrong.
today? Because you're giving me examples from the past. I can give you a
Yeah.
whole bunch of things from the past that I don't
No, no,
believe.
no, no, no. Hold on. You asked me to show you a prediction. I'm saying that creationists back in the days, they told the evolutionists that they think of you calling a DNA of some people junk or a certain part of the DNA junk. It's
Sure.
not
Yeah. No,
junk.
no, I get what you say. Let
It
me,
was before.
I
It
don't
was
think I'm
before. It was.
making my point clear.
Let me just finish. Let me
No,
just finish.
I
It
completely
was before.
understand.
It was before that was proven that the so-called junk DNA wasn't junk. The creationists or the intelligent design people, which by the way, by the definition of top origins, intelligent design people are creationists. And by the way, we have to say, as engineers, we are creationists by essence. We create things, we design them, we don't evolve them. But back at this point, it
Sure.
was before it
So,
was discovered. It was before it was discovered that the junk DNA it has a function. It
okay.
was
No,
posted,
I
and
know.
then
I
we found out.
understand.
And
You
you were
repeating it
asking
isn't
me,
going to make me understand it even more. I get it.
and I was trying to explain it in a better way that you could understand it.
Okay,
Like
but I do understand what you're saying. I get it.
okay, sure,
Okay?
sure.
And I'm going to assume that everything you said was true. I'll grant you that. But what I'm asking for is, at any point in time, you are justified. You should believe what gives you the greatest explanatory power and the best means of making accurate predictions. Now, you told me a whole bunch of stuff that in the past, evolution did this and it was wrong, right? But I'm telling you about today, like right now, what predictions can creationists make in the future, that, I don't know, maybe in a week or maybe in a couple years, we can look back and say, wow, you know what, that was true. Because even if creationism provided these predictions, which I am doubtful that some of the stuff you said is accurate, but even if they did, I'll grant it. Even if they did, that other things within creationism contradict a whole load of
Like
evidence
what?
regarding
Like
age of
what?
the
Give me an
earth.
example. Like what? Give me an
Okay,
example.
age of the earth.
Edge of the Earth doesn't contradict creationists.
Okay, why not?
I'm telling you, you're presupposing the naturalistic framework
I'm
of
post
evidence to
supposing it.
presuppose. Exactly. You're
Post.
presupposing.
No, no,
Okay.
post after.
whatever you want to
No,
put
no,
it.
it's very, very different. Because what you're saying is, I come to the table with these suppositions already made. And what I'm
Okay,
saying to you is, I come to the table, I look what's there, and then I make the suppositions. Those are two
okay,
very different things.
okay. Are your the things that you posit, can they be shakable?
Can they be
Can they
shakeable? What
change?
do you mean? Of
Yeah, they
course.
can change.
Yeah, yeah,
Could
of course.
could there be a possibility of one day you coming to the conclusion that no, the Earth is not really billions of years? Could that change?
Yeah, if there's evidence to support that.
Well, then you should stop telling creationists that they are wrong.
No, I shouldn't, because every time a creationist comes to me and says we have evidence, their claims seem to be insufficient. For example, when you
Well,
say that creationists made these predictions and they said there
yeah,
weren't junk DNA and all this stuff,
yeah,
that that may be the case, but
yeah.
that still seems to go against a whole lot of other factors, a whole lot
Okay,
of.
are you saying that humans have junk DNA? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not well versed enough in evolution or biology, I should say,
Okay, then we
to
shouldn't
speak of
even
that.
talk about that then.
Well, I mean, you brought it up.
Yeah, I brought it
I
up
mean, we
because you
keep
asked
going
me
down
to
these
show.
holes, and this was a common theme last conversation too. Is
Exactly,
you'd bring
exactly. Because
something up,
I'm
I'd
trying to
answer it.
make you. I'm not trying to bring things up. You asked me to give you an example of things that have been, posited by creationists, or the things that would come
Sure,
to. How do we say this? Predictions.
sure. So
Things that.
there were parts that creationists. If what you say is true, then I can tell you that there are parts that creationists got right, but there's
Yeah.
a whole lot of other parts that
Like what?
contradict everything
Like
that
what?
we know, like the age of the Earth or
And
an
I'm
intelligent designer.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about right now. You are assuming that there's no such a thing as intelligent design, and you're
No, I'm
assuming
not.
that the Earth is billions of years. That's why you said that it
Okay.
contradicts it,
I'm I'm assuming
Christian.
that if we're going to use the word assume, I'm going to
No,
say I'm assuming that based on uh what I experience. Now,
okay.
I'm not coming to
Is
the
your
table
experience
saying that
infallible?
it's impossible. I'm not coming to the table saying it's impossible. I'm just saying based on all the evidence we have, it doesn't seem to support that conclusion. Now, there
Okay, then
might
based on
be
what you believe.
I mean, there might be parts in creationism which are true. For example, there are different species of animals, or animals, each individual animal is different from the other, right? That's something benign, but I mean, I think that's something you believe, right? Like, I'm different than you, and we're both different than another animal that's different than another one. You believe that, right?
Well, I believe what? I know that. I know that I'm
Okay,
different from
sure.
you, but I believe that we belong to the same kind.
Okay, well, I don't know what a kind is, but I can say that if you believe.
Dude, I gave you the definition of kind last time, and you agree with it.
Okay, go ahead and define it for me because I might have forgotten.
You already, I said, kind, a group of people, group. You said the kingdom. You
Okay,
brought
yes,
the
yes,
right
yes, you're right. I
word.
remember. All right. So if you think that different kinds of animals are different, different kingdoms of animals are different from others, then I'd say, yeah, I agree with you. But if you then say that the Earth is 6,000 years old, or that all these animals were created by an intelligent
No,
designer, doesn't matter
let me.
which designer,
Okay,
right?
wait.
I'd say, well, that's not supported.
Let me try to make a point here. Maybe we'll try to understand the creationist position. The idea that the earth is 6,000 years old, that's not dogmatic for us. You
I
understand? We're
understand
not
that.
saying that everybody else has to believe that the earth is 6,000 years. We come with that conclusion because of all the genealogies within the Bible. But at the same time, we find a lot of stuff out there that point to the conclusion that the earth could be younger than what most people believe. Like, for
Sure.
example, the carbon, the C14 within diamonds, the recession of the moon, the salt in the ocean. I mean, plenty of stuff.
Yeah,
Plenty of
sure.
stuff.
Sure.
Now, if
I
somebody,
understand that maybe that's not dogmatic to you, but
yeah,
as far as I'm concerned, the fossil record, the existence of the fossil record and the way it's laid out, is much better explained by evolution than by creationism. So even if
no, actually,
creationists,
no, you're wrong. You're wrong
well,
about that. I'll
okay,
have to
show
say
me
that
I'm
you're wrong.
wrong.
Okay, you say that the fossil record it's best explained by evolution than
Yes.
than by
It
creation.
corresponds comes with evolution and is
Okay,
explained by its
show me
own
how it's
experiment.
explained by
No, you're
evolution.
saying you're saying I'm absolutely wrong. Please enlighten
Yeah,
me.
wonderful. Okay, for example, you guys believe that dinosaurs died 65 million years ago, but today we still find dinosaurs with soft bone tissue.
I don't think we do, but even if we don't believe that, even if I just say
Really,
that
really, Christian, are you just gonna say that we don't find soft tissue within the dinosaurs' bone today,
I
man? You're not
highly
following the
doubt that
news?
that's the case. I can look that
Really?
up right now.
Yeah, go
Soft
ahead, go ahead. You should do it
tissue
right quick.
dinosaur. Oh,
You should do it
I'm
right quick.
doing it. Yeah.
Mhm. Google it.
Okay. So
Soft
let's go to
tissue
the first one.
dinosaurs.
Yeah. You can explain it, and I'm just gonna read this article and see what they
And
came up
I
with.
don't know if you ever heard of people using terms such as living fossils. Things that evolutionists believe that they should be dead for over billions of years ago, but they're still alive today. Those are terms that you almost hear all the time, and these things that come down to the presuppositionalist position. That evolutionists always would take a certain position, come and try to explain evidence. According to their position, go like, oh man. Okay, we see soft dinosaur tissues here. So the only explanation is that maybe there was a mechanism that kept that soft tissue inside the dinosaur's bone for over millions of years. But they will never think about that dinosaurs dying, millions of years ago. They always hold on to the belief that no, 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 we're not going to change it. It's true that the dinosaurs died 65 or 70 million years ago.
No, I think they're open to change that if the evidence leads there. But let's get back to this soft tissue. Are you talking about the one or the source, I guess, from Wieland 2005?
There are plenty of sources out there. I cannot really. I will have to Google me too. Like right now, let me try to
Okay,
Google.
or Schweitzer et al.
Sure,
2005.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, from what I can see here, and again, this is just within 2 minutes, not even of Googling, so
Yeah.
forgive me for that. But the tissues were rehydrated as the minerals were being taken out of the bone. So that
Exactly.
softened it. So they weren't soft.
Exactly.
They weren't soft
Exactly.
when they were found. They were made soft by people.
But no, that's not what the evidence show. The problem is like that shakes evolutionists. You understand?
Hold on, you're saying that they found soft fossils, and I'm
No,
telling
not
you that
soft fossil. I'm not talking about soft. I
soft
said
tissue.
soft tissues.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I'm saying that the tissues weren't soft. They were made soft by people. They didn't
Exactly.
find soft tissues. They found hard tissues and then made them soft.
Where are you reading it from?
I'll send it to you, I guess. Here. Well, I can't really. Oh yeah, chat. Here
Just
we
put
go.
it on the side chat. Okay.
And here's another one.
And as you can see, as you pass me these links, you will
here's another
understand that
one.
all of those links that you are passing that from the evolutionary standpoint. You will never pass something from the intelligent design position.
Livescience.com. Livescience.com seems to be a pretty neutral.
Oh no! There's no such a thing as neutrality. Neutrality doesn't exist. I would just have to stop you right there. There's no such a thing as neutrality.
Okay, so let's look at the creationist one. Actually, you know what? Maybe that can be a future conversation. We'll look at a claim that a creationist made, and then we'll go through and we'll find sources that you deem acceptable, and then I'll try to show how it's wrong.
That's why I'm saying the problem is you're gonna use your presuppositions that dinosaurs died 6 million years ago. That's why you're gonna
try to find sources you accept. I'll try to find sources that you think are good sources, and then I'll try to use those sources to show that you're wrong. That could be something we can do in the future that we can set up for.
Okay, no problem. And exactly, that's what I'm saying. You're gonna use the position of evolutionists that the dinosaurs died 6 million years ago or 70 million years ago to disprove that.
No, that's going to be the claim.
The claim
that's
of
not
what?
going to be that's going to be the claim we're disputing. That's not going to be my reasons for believing it.
But
That
you said I'm gonna show you that is wrong. That's what you said. What
yeah,
are you gonna use to show me that is wrong?
like I
You're gonna
said,
use
we can go through. You can find, or I'll find sources and I'll send them to you, and you'll tell me if you want to use them or not. And if you want to use them, I'll use those.
you said we're gonna find sources. You said
Yeah.
find sources and show it to me, and then I'll prove it to you that they are wrong. That's
Yeah.
what you're saying. And I'm
So
saying that you're
using
using
those,
the
okay, all
presupposition
right.
that
I
the
don't think you
dinosaurs.
understand. So you made a claim that scientists found soft tissue in fossils. Now,
Exactly.
what I'm proposing we do, and like we're not even arguing about what we're doing. We're arguing about what we might do in the future. But what we can do is take that claim. Humans have found soft tissue in dinosaur fossils. And then I'll look for a whole bunch of sources and a whole bunch of information on that. I'll send all of that to you. And you send me back a list with sources that you want me to use. And I'll use those sources that you say are okay to try to dispute that claim that
Christian,
scientists have found soft tissue in
Christian,
fossils.
Christian. This maybe you will understand what I'm saying here.
Oh, I think I
We
am.
can send to each other all bunches of sources. You understand? But we're always gonna look at it according to our own worldview. For you, it won't make ever any sense that the dinosaurs. For you, it's always true that the dinosaurs died 65 or 70 millions of years ago. If somebody show you something pointing out that, this idea that we have soft tissues within dinosaurs, it points out that the dinosaurs didn't die millions of years ago. If somebody points you that, you said that is wrong because you already presupposed the idea that, dinosaurs dying, the dinosaurs have died 65 or 70 millions of years ago. That belief, it's yours.
Okay,
And it
what I'm
can't be
saying
challenged.
is
And
that
that's exactly, let me just finish. And that's exactly what these guys, from the articles that you sent, that presupposes the idea that the dinosaurs died 65 millions of years ago. And they have to find, evidence somewhere or some mechanism
well, they
by
don't.
which, let me just finish, and
Sure,
I'll
but
let you talk.
yeah. Well, you're
Let me
not
just
letting
finish.
me. This is my stream. Let's make that very clear.
I
You're not
understand
letting
that,
me
but I'm
do
trying to make
anything.
a point, though.
Okay,
I'm trying to make a point.
sure. Go
I've been
ahead,
talking
please.
for quite a while, and I'm trying to make a point so we can understand each other here, right?
Sure.
And you're asking me to explain presuppositionalism, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now. So, as I was saying, I will make this brief. As I was saying, the guys who found these dinosaurs, there's even a video on YouTube. This woman, she's explaining. She said, when we find out there were like soft tissue dinosaurs within these bones, soft tissues within the bones of the dinosaurs, we were shocked, right? Because they believe what? That the dinosaurs died 65 or 70 millions of years ago. You understand? And then she said at the end of the video that we have to find a mechanism by which the soft tissues might have survived within the dinosaurs' bones for those 65 or 70 millions of years ago, which means they wouldn't even consider the idea that maybe the dinosaurs might have not died 65 or 70 millions of years ago. That's a presupposition right there. Sorry, go
It's
ahead.
okay. Well, it's not a presupposition, it's a post-supposition based on the available evidence. And even if there was one tiny thing that showed one small part of evolutionary theory to be wrong, that doesn't mean we can then discard the whole thing. Maybe it means that we should change it according to the evidence. Now, what you're saying is that they found one thing which completely disproved the entire explanation of evolution and the entire idea of the Earth being very, very, very old. Now, what
I
I'm
didn't
saying
say
is,
that. I did not say that.
okay, so you don't think that this soft tissue that they found, which I don't think they found, but let's assume it's true. You don't think that this soft tissue is evidence against evolution or against the age of the Earth being
That's
very old?
No, I'm saying that challenges the idea of evolution is believing that the Earth is millions of years, or that dinosaurs died 65 or 70 millions of years ago.
Well,
It
I
doesn't
don't.
challenge the age of the Earth. That has nothing to do with the age of the
Okay,
Earth. It
all
has
right.
to do
Maybe I
with
misspoke then.
with the timeline that evolution has said that the dinosaurs died.
Well, maybe it maybe challenge is a tough word. Maybe it's inconsistent. I'll grant you that maybe it's inconsistent, but is it possible that we can find an explanation? Is it possible that there's a weird sort of thing that happens that we weren't aware of, that once we
Exactly.
become, okay,
Exactly. Now you
like,
understand, Christian. Now you understand that the idea that the Earth is that the dinosaurs died 65 or 7 millions of years ago shouldn't disappear. Let's go to the idea that let's try to find a
do you
mechanism.
know why it shouldn't disappear, Ben? Do you know
Why?
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 Well, do you know? Do you know why it shouldn't disappear, that idea?
Yeah, why? Tell me why. Why it shouldn't
Well,
disappear?
I'm wondering why you think it shouldn't disappear.
Because it's being challenged.
So you think that an idea that's being challenged shouldn't disappear.
It's being proven to be wrong.
So you're saying that an idea that's proven to be wrong shouldn't be discarded.
I'm not. What I'm saying is that the idea that the dinosaurs died 65 or 70 millions of years ago is being challenged. But people, instead of them being skeptics about the dinosaurs dying 65 or 7 millions of years ago, they don't do that. What they do is like, let's find a mechanism that shows that there's somehow a way that would conserve the soft tissues within the dinosaur bones for over millions of years, for over 60 or 70 millions of years.
Sure, and do you know why they do that? Why
Why?
why do you propose they do that?
Because they believe that the dinosaurs died 65 or 7 millions of years ago, that there's no way. That's exactly what I was telling you, that the
I
woman
know
there,
that's what you're telling me, and
that the woman there on the video on YouTube, she said that there's no way that the soft tissues dinosaurs might have survived for 65 or 70 millions of years ago. So we have to find a mechanism that might explain why they have survived for that age, which means for them, regardless of what you find, the idea of 65 to 70 millions of years ago of the extinction of dinosaurs never disappear.
okay, and the reason you're saying that it's not going to disappear is because people have presuppositions and they're unable to let go of them.
Exactly.
And what I'm
Exactly.
saying is that's wrong. We don't have a presupposition. If anything, we have a post supposition based on the empirical evidence. Now,
What empirical evidence?
if I had 99% of all evidence available to me pointing towards one conclusion and 1% of it pointing away from it, it isn't reasonable for me to just get rid of everything I think and accept something completely radically. No, hold on. I've let you speak. Now it's my turn.
It was just a small question, for you to keep up talking about what you're talking about. It's a small question.
You go ahead. Oh, all right, or not. Okay, so whenever we all have a framework of beliefs that interact with each other, whenever we encounter something that's new and that is inconsistent with what we believe, what we tend to do is try to change our beliefs as little as possible while allowing that new belief to be accepted. Because the framework of beliefs that we have is proven by continual reliance to provide us with explanatory power and predictive power. Now, it may be the case that we're wrong about certain things, and it may be the case that evolution isn't true, and it may be the case that the Earth isn't billions of years old, and it may be the case that everything that you're saying is true. But given the evidence and given all the stuff, all the facts that we have, the best explanation that we can make and the best ideas that we can make that provide us with future predictions are not those which you are proposing. And that's why we don't just get rid of everything we think and believe something else all of a sudden. Just because maybe 0.01% of evidence seems to be inconsistent with all the other evidence we own or have available to us, it doesn't mean that we are de facto wrong and we should just discard absolutely everything. It means we should look into that and investigate it and see if it fits into what we believe. And if it doesn't, if it's absolutely, it just can't fit in, then we should try to create a framework that explains that and that tries to make predictions based on that and test that and see how that framework holds up. And if that framework seems to hold up better than ours, then we should adopt that. So if creationism can seem to explain more and create more predictions for the future for us right now than any other scientific sort of idea or framework of beliefs, then we should accept it. And what I'm saying is that it doesn't seem to be the case that creationism does that, so we shouldn't accept it.
Okay, that's okay.
Now, as far as the soft bone thing is, if you are claiming that they found soft tissues, and I'm saying that I don't think they did, it may be that what you said, I'm just refusing to listen to you. But it also may be that
I'm not saying that you're refusing to listen to me. That's exactly what I've been talking about for quite some time. That you're always gonna use the evolutionist, the atheistic, the naturalistic, the materialistic position to explain all of this stuff.
Sure.
You
Is
will
it
never
possible?
look at the creation position.
Is it possible that this soft tissue that they found is not explained by creationism? Maybe it's explained by something else.
What do you mean explained by? This has nothing to do with creationism. We're talking about the age that the dinosaurs have lived.
Okay, so
died. That's what we're talking. We're not talking about creation or evolution or anything like that.
Okay, so what sort of framework would you propose that would explain this seeming anomaly in our experience?
4,000 years ago in the flood of Noah.
Okay, that seems to go against all the other evidence that we have.
Okay, show me one evidence that I cannot refute that shows that the dinosaurs have died 65 to 70 millions of years ago.
Well, I can show you a piece of evidence that seems to contradict the Noah's flood thing. Different species of animals being found in different rock layers with earlier, or what we think are earlier, and what we can observe to be more simple creatures at the lowest points, and what seem to be more complex creatures at the higher points.
Well, there's no such a thing as a simple creature.
You know, whenever we say simple or complex, we mean that with reference to other things. So compared to us, those creatures are very simple. Now, compared to them, we are very complex. There's no like objective simple or complex. It's relative, comparing it to different things, right? So what we find is creatures that are more simple lower on, and then as we go up the rock layers, we find those creatures that are left there becoming more and more complex as time seems to go.
This whole conversation just proves my point. You're always gonna presuppose or explain things according to the naturalistic, atheistic standpoint. Always. That's how it's gonna go.
I don't think so.
I'm not denying that I don't have presuppositions. I don't deny that, but you seem to deny that. You think that you're neutral. You are not neutral.
No. I'm not neutral. I'm saying I don't have presuppositions. I may have post-suppositions, and again, that's a very important point that we should pay attention to. But I don't come to the table with something that I want to prove already in mind. I come to the table, I look what's there, and I try to come up with an explanation that explains it and that allows me to make predictions about the future. And if that explanation and those ideas seem to work for me, I'll hold on to them. That's not a presupposition. Hello, Ben. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. I hope Ben didn't drop out.
No, I didn't. I'm still here. I was just listening to you talk, and I was looking for the definition of post-supposition that you're talking about here.
Presupposition. Okay.
No, post-supposition.
Post-supposition. All right. Well, the prefix pre means before, and the prefix post means after. So a post-supposition is opposed to a presupposition. So presupposition is something you suppose before the fact. Post-supposition is something you suppose after the fact.
Okay. Are you? Let me ask you this: is that a fact that dinosaurs died 65 to 70 millions of years ago?
What do you define fact as?
You brought out fact. I thought you know what fact is. What fact
When
was?
I say after the fact, that's an expression. That's after something happens, or after an experience, or after whatever, right?
Okay,
So when I
fact,
say
something that
after the
cannot
fact,
fail to be
I'm
what it
using the
is.
word fact in a very different sense than you're saying. So what I want to know is what you mean when you say the word fact.
That's exactly, this is the problem. Every time that I talk to an atheist about this stuff, every time you bring something, they want you to define, and
Well,
then you
yeah,
define and
because
say
if
like,
we're
no,
using
that's not
different
what I believe.
definitions, then we're going to be talking past each other. We need to
Good
be
then.
very clear on
Fact,
what we're talking about and make sure we're talking
okay,
about the same thing.
okay. Let me define that. Fact is something that cannot fail to be what it is.
That cannot fail to be what it is. I have no way of knowing if it's a fact or not.
Okay, it's a fact that I'm here talking to you right now.
I have no way of knowing if that's a fact or not.
You have no way
Based
of
on your
knowing the truth.
definition.
Okay, well, let me ask you
No,
this.
based on your
There's no
definition, I
way.
have no way of knowing that it cannot fail to be true.
Okay, you have no way of knowing that I'm here talking to you.
I have, when you use the word no, you have within that the implicit notion of absolute certainty. I do not make claims of absolute certainty. Even that claim
And
that I
that
just
and
made,
that.
even that claim that I just made isn't
Mm.
one of absolute certainty, nor is this one, nor are any of the other ones that I'm
And there
ever
you
going to
go.
make within our conversation.
Infinite regress, which means you don't know anything.
No, it isn't. And
And that's an absolute claim?
no, like I said, were you listening
Exactly.
about 15 seconds ago? Yes or
Yeah,
no?
but that's the
Okay,
point
so
though.
what did I
For your
say
position,
15? No, no. What did I say 15 seconds ago?
you said that you're not making absolute claims. That's
Okay,
what you
so
said.
there's your answer.
But the point is, for that claim to be true, it has to be absolute.
No, it doesn't. I
Okay, is
can
that an
I can
absolute claim?
make claims, you can make claims that aren't true. You could claim to me that you're actually a flying walrus. You could
Okay,
say that.
let me ask
That
you
doesn't
something.
need to be true in order for you to claim it.
Maybe let me ask you something. Can a fact be not fact?
Based on your definition of fact, no. It's
Okay.
intrinsically
In
it
your
can't
worldview,
be.
in your
Oh,
definition,
I
fact
use the
can be not
definition.
fact.
Let's see. I'll look up the definition of fact. I think I have a definition of one that I use, but let's see. I would use a fact as something which we observe and which we posited to have some sort of external existence. So a fact is something we observe, I guess I could say, for a simple definition.
Okay. It is a fact that I'm looking at a woman sitting in front of me right now. Is
If
that a
you're
fact?
observing that, then sure, it's a fact.
Okay.
So,
A fact is that which somebody is observing. And
uh,
that's your definition of a
a
fact.
fact is an observation. Yeah, I think that's how I would define it. I don't know. We'll see if that's a good or useful definition as we go.
Okay. Look, let's suppose that I'm looking at a color,
Sure.
and this color, I look at it, for me, it appears green, but for
Sure.
you, it appears red. Which
Okay.
one of us has the fact?
Well, we would both say, each of us would say we have a fact. Now,
Yeah.
upon further inspection, we may find that the word that I use to mean green is the word that you use to mean red, or the meanings of our words are the same. So even though you label it red and I label it green, we actually observe the same thing. That
Yeah,
might be the case.
but
It
that's
also
ruining
might
your
be the case that
definition.
we're observing different things, right?
Yeah, but you're
So,
ruining your definition though. You said the fact is that which is observed. And
yes.
I'm observing the color. For me, it's green, and for you, it's red. Which one has the fact?
The fact is observing it. You can make
No,
claims
no, no,
about
no,
the
no, no, no.
fact.
I'm
You can
asking
make
about the
claims as to what it
conclusion.
is.
I'm asking about the conclusion that we're coming into. I come to the conclusion that the color that I'm looking at is green, and
Well,
you
I
come
don't
to the
think.
conclusion that the color that you're looking at is red. Which
Sure.
one of us has the fact? Which
Well,
one
I
of us
don't
has a
think that.
factual?
I don't think that my definition of fact lends itself to conclusions, because an observation isn't a conclusion. So the observation you make is a fact.
It's a fact that we are observing something. I agree with you.
I don't think that's the case. No. Observing something. It's the fact that we observe and that we experience things. I mean, experience things. We have experiences, I should say. We have experiential data, right?
So your
But
experience is a fact.
to even say that we experience things is to posit things, right? Which is not something I want to have within my definition of fact, because that has within it a whole lot of other baggage, which I don't think is necessary for this conversation. So when I say something's a fact, I mean something has been observed. We'll put it simply like that. So if you tell me you see something as red, and I tell you I see it as green, it might be the case that we're observing things differently, and as such, we would have different ideas of what that thing we are observing is, and we would have different. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. When I observe this planet, the stars, the moon, the galaxy, or the pictures of the galaxy that I'm being shown,
Sure.
and then change the complexity of the cell, the human brain, the ability of what the man is capable of doing, the moral outstanding of the human being. I come to the conclusion that there is a God, and you come to the conclusion that there is no God. Okay. Which one of us is right?
I don't know. I think I'm right. I don't think you're right, and I don't think that you've provided any sort of explanation or any sort of reason as to why I should accept you're right. But the fact that you observe it is the fact. That is not subject to debate. If you observe it that way, then that's the way you observe it. Now, what conclusions you make?
You think you are right, but you're coming to the conclusion that there is no God after what you have observed.
I don't. I think I'm right when I come to the conclusion there is no God. I don't want to say there is. No, I'm repeating your question. Sorry. I don't want to say that there is absolutely no God, but I can definitely say that I don't believe the Christian God exists at all, because it seems to be incoherent to me. And I don't know what it would mean for such a being to exist with the state of the world being as it is.
Okay.
So when I say, getting back to our original point, when I say talking to presuppositionalists is useless, it's because if you are wrong, you will not admit it. And if you are right, you can't, or it doesn't seem like you can provide me with any sort of means by determining that you are right.
Okay.
And also, do you believe that I know God exists?
Oh yeah, pretty much, yeah. I don't know. I don't believe that. I know that.
Okay. Well, when you say you know something, you also say that it's a true justified belief, right?
Yes.
So whenever you say you know something, you're also saying you believe it.
Yes.
Okay. So you believe that I know God exists.
Yes.
All right. And I'm telling you that I don't. Is there anything I can do to change your mind?
To change my mind about what?
About you believing that I know God exists. Is there anything that I can do to kind of show you that I don't believe God exists?
That you don't believe that God exists?
Yes.
Like, how can you show me that you don't believe that God exists?
Yeah. Is that possible, according to you?
I don't need you to show me that. Why would I need you to show me that?
I'm asking if it's possible. I'm asking, is it possible for me to demonstrate, to show to you somehow that I don't believe God exists?
Is that possible for me to demonstrate to you that you are not a male?
Is it possible for you to demonstrate to me that I'm not a male?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. If you came up to me and you said, hey, I have recordings of you ever since you were born of every single instance that the word male has been used. And every single time someone has used the word male to refer to you, Christian, they've been using it incorrectly. And what you actually are is something called a Zork. You're not a male, you're a Zork. And if you showed me that the word, the definition, the meaning that the word male has is not the
No, no,
meaning
no,
I
no.
think
I'm
it
not
has,
talking
then
about the
I'll change.
definition. I'm not talking about the definition of a male. I'm talking about you being a male. Christian, are you a male?
I think so, yeah. I have every good reason to think so. And I have
Okay.
other people who would say,
Is
who would
there a
agree with me.
possibility for me? Is there a possibility for me to show that you're not a male?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to explain? No, I'm going to explain how. I'm going to explain again how. Because I want you to understand this. If it is the case that I've been using the word male wrong,
No, no,
right?
no. We're not
Then
talking
you are
about the
able to.
definition. We are
Okay.
talking about the fact of you being a male. You just said that you are a
Okay.
male,
So
right? And now,
I exist as something, right? And that something I call a male, right? So there's this ontological existence that I possess that I call male. Now
so
you're
there's a
telling,
possibility that you might not be a male.
and what you're trying to ask me is there a way for you to demonstrate to me that my conception of my ontological existence is wrong? And I'm saying, yes,
Okay, so there's a
theoretically there is.
possibility for me to show you that you are not a male. So it's
Theoretically,
possible.
yes.
There's a possibility for me to show that you are not a male.
Yeah, theoretically.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'd like to see you try, but I don't think you can, but possibly, maybe. I mean, philosophically possible, yes. Is it likely? Is it probable? Do I have any good reason to think that it's the case? No. So let me get back to the question I asked you. Is there anything I can do to show you something about me? Now, your question was you showing me something about me.
You
Now,
see,
my question is me showing you something about myself, me trying to explain to you about my own mental state.
the thing is not me claiming that you know that God exists. God says that you know that you have no excuse.
Okay, but you're
And
the one telling me that, right?
wait. Let me just finish. It says that you have no excuse of your denial for God, and
That's
He
nice.
shows that why, and He shows that why. And you know,
Sure.
since I've looked at all of those stuff that God claims in His holy word, by the way that I believe that everybody should believe and repent and accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, you know, it conforms to what the Bible says. You know,
That's very nice and all, but you're the one telling me that, right?
yes, of course.
Okay, so you're the one making the claims.
I'm not making the claim. I'm
Well,
reporting the claim to you.
okay, you're reporting the claim. You're the agent. You are the
I'm,
messenger, so to speak.
I'm exactly. I'm telling you what God says about you.
Sure. And what I'm saying is that there is nothing, you have an idea about what I do and do not think, and there is nothing I can do to change that idea. You are
I
coming.
don't. I don't, but God does. And He told me
Do you agree
that
with
you,
God or no?
oh, pretty much. If I didn't
Okay, so
agree
you
with God, I
agree. So
wouldn't be a
you do
Christian
have
at
that
all.
idea. So it's very dishonest for you to say you don't believe that when really you do.
I didn't say that I don't believe. What are you talking about?
Okay. You believe I know God exists, right?
Yes, I know that.
Okay.
I don't just believe. I know
You
that.
also believe it, so I'll stick with belief. All
Okay,
right.
okay,
So
okay.
you believe that I know God exists. And what I'm saying is that according to you, there is nothing I can do to show you that that's wrong.
According to me,
Yeah,
according to all the evidence, according to that
that's
which God
nice,
has
but
said.
also
Let
according
me
to
just
you,
let
right?
me just finish this. Let me just
No,
finish
no,
this.
no. All right,
According
according to
to
all
what
that other stuff too, but also according
according
to you, right?
according to what God have said and how you live your life.
That's very nice.
That's exactly why you are here trying to debate me.
No, no, that's not why
Understand?
I'm here. Why
Yeah.
I'm here is because I have a bit of spare time and I like doing this for fun. What
Okay,
I'm
Christian,
asking
are you
you,
looking for
no,
truth?
no,
Are you looking for
hold
the
on,
evidence?
Ben, before we continue, I want to get this point clear.
Sure.
I, you claim that I know God exists. You believe that I know God exists.
Yes.
I am telling you right now, I
Yeah.
do not know that God exists. What do you
Okay,
make of that statement?
that's all for you. It's for you to prove that.
Okay, how can I prove
But
that
me,
to you?
I would stick. I would
Is it
stick with
possible for me to prove that I don't know God exists?
you can't prove that. It's more like you saying that. Is there a possibility of me proving that I'm not a male?
Well, yeah, you can prove that you are not a male. If you took off your pants and there were no male bits, and now if we're going to get into the whole social justice thing, if you don't identify as a male or whatever the hell you want, whatever definition of male you use, if you show me that you don't fit that definition, then I'll change my mind about you. But if I go up to my sister and I say, I think you are a male, and there's nothing you can do to change my mind. It is impossible for you to change my mind. That is a very dishonest, disingenuous position. And that's a position that you and all presuppositionalists hold. You believe that I know God exists, and anything I do or say doesn't matter because you are unwavering in that belief.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're coming from a disingenuous, dishonest, intellectually dishonest position.
Okay, point to me, show to me that this is disingenuous.
It's disingenuous because you're not coming to the position, to the conversation, what we like to call in good faith. You're not here to interpret my arguments as I say them. You're not here to actually...
And I'm telling you that your ability to discuss with me, to make sense of it, you're looking for truth. That's what you're doing here.
No, not right now.
You're not looking for truth?
No, right now I'm just trying to point out, that you and all presuppositionalists
Let me ask you this question.
are coming from a dishonest position.
This probably will be my last question. If I gave you evidence, if I gave evidence to you that God exists, would you worship him?
Would I worship him? It depends on what sort of God it is that exists.
I'm talking about the Christian God. If I gave evidence to you,
would I worship the Christian God? I don't think so, because from reading the Bible, I've concluded that the Christian God is an evil egomaniac who punishes and tortures people, and who is ultimately responsible for all the suffering and all the evil that exists today. Now, I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong about that. You're very welcome. So if you can show me, if you can demonstrate that this God exists and show me that I'm wrong about that, then maybe I will worship him. But I don't.
No. I'm not asking you to try to demonstrate anything about what you claim that God did or anything. I asked you a simple question.
I know.
If I gave you evidence of the existence of God, would you worship him? You said no, because he did this thing and those things and those things. So I don't think that you should be making videos on YouTube calling out people for believing in God.
Well, I should,
if you were given evidence in the first place, you wouldn't even worship him.
Well, worship and believe are two very different things. I can believe something without worshiping it. You don't worship money. You don't worship rocks. You believe money exists. You believe rocks exist.
People worship money.
Oh, but you don't, right?
Yeah, of course I don't. No.
But you believe money exists, right?
Yes.
So it's very, very reasonable to have conversations about what does and does not exist without the idea of worship. You're introducing this idea of worship. Now, if you ask me, if you reformulate your question and make it a better question, if your question is...
Special pleading.
No, if your question is, if I demonstrate to you that God exists, and...
Would you worship him?
No. I'm reformulating your question so that's better, because the question you asked is a pretty bad question.
That's special pleading right there. You're trying to change my question. Why are you changing my question?
Well, because I answered your question and I'm trying to reformulate it in a way that might be better for you. So just hear me out for a second. Special pleading is saying something is true of one thing, but not of anything else that's like it. It's not special pleading. So if your question is, if you can demonstrate to me, Christian, that the Christian God exists and that Christian God is worthy of worship, would you worship it? Then my answer would be yes. Right?
Okay.
So just adding a little caveat to your question.
Special pleading. Okay. Argument in which the speaker deliberately ignores aspects that are unfavorable to their point of view. And that's exactly what you're doing.
What did I ignore?
I asked you a simple question. If I gave you the evidence that God exists, would you worship him? And then you said, you gave me your answer, and then you said, I don't want you to ask the question like that.
Well, you can
Because
ask it like that, but it's a bad question. I would believe in it.
Special pleading.
No, I would. Okay, first of all, special pleading is a fallacy where someone applies standards or rules to others, but not to themselves. Okay, so that's what special pleading is.
No. I just read the definition of special pleading to you.
From where, please?
Just Google it, man. It will come in the first place. Just Google it right now. Because pleading. I gotta go, man. I'm really tired, man.
Oh, I hear you. And okay, the very first result on a page about fallacies, special pleading is a fallacy in which a person applies standards, principles, rules, etc. to others while taking herself or those she has a special interest in to be exempt without providing adequate justice. Okay, that's exactly what I said. That's not what you said.
That's exactly what I said. Can I share the screen here? I guess it's possible for me to share the screen.
Yeah, I guess so. If you know how to do that, go for it.
Yeah, hold on. Let me wait. Okay, so.
But my point, while you figure that out, my point is, if you can demonstrate to me that your God exists, then I will believe in your God. Worshiping your God is an entirely separate issue. So for you to try to conflate those two things is very, very dishonest. Like I said, you believe in a whole bunch of things you don't worship. Likewise, I could believe in your God and not worship him. But if you could not only demonstrate his existence to me, but also demonstrate that he is worthy of worship and, you know, he's a good guy and all these other nice attributes, then yeah, maybe I would worship him. But so far, that doesn't seem to be the case. So as of now, my answer must be no.
Okay, but as I was saying, can you see the definition? Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, you see this definition. Can you read it?
Argument. Oh, it's popping in and out. So I think whenever I talk, it pops out. So you're going to have to read it out for me, okay?
Okay. Argument in which the speaker deliberately ignores aspects that are unfavorable to their point of view.
Okay. What am I ignoring?
You're ignoring the definition that I'm giving to you right now.
Okay. What definition are you giving me? Because I don't want to ignore it. So please, what definition are you giving me?
I asked you a simple question. If I gave you evidence of the existence of God, would you worship him?
As I stand now, no.
Okay, cool.
But if you did that and then also did something else, then I would. So I don't understand what the importance of your question is.
Like what?
Okay, like what I just said several times. If you demonstrated his existence and demonstrated that he was worthy of worship, then I would worship him.
But of course, he's worthy of worship.
Well, you haven't demonstrated that.
It's Jesus Christ who died on the cross for your sins. By the way, I ask you to repent, or
there's no such thing as sin. But okay, so even if that's the case,
exactly. You see, that's a presupposition that you have.
No, it isn't. You haven't let me finish my sentence. Even if it's a case that Jesus Christ came down and died for my sins,
exactly. Amen, brother.
If it is the case also that God is responsible for evil, then that doesn't make him worthy of worship. He's just righting a wrong that he created. So I'm not coming to this with presuppositions. I'm coming to this with post-suppositions. I'm coming to you saying that if according
to your own standard, this thing of like, oh no,
well, you do everything according to your own standard too.
No, I don't do everything according to my standard.
I think
all of stuff that I do that are not according to my own standard. For example, when I write a test in the university, or when I make some tests at the lab, I don't use my own standard. I use multimeters sometimes to test, you know, the value of a resistor. You know, I use oscilloscope, for instance, to check the shape of the signal. Those are not my standards.
On what grounds are you accepting the claim that God is worthy of worship?
Because His Son Jesus Christ, who died on the cross for your sins, for the sins of the world.
Okay, do you find that to be an acceptable reason to worship someone?
Yeah, but of course, if somebody can give
Okay,
his
then
life
you are
for you,
using your own
if
standard.
somebody, if no, 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 I'm not using my standard. I'm saying that if somebody gives, let me ask you this: if somebody gave his own life, gave up his own life for you, wouldn't you, thank him and all of this stuff? You wouldn't do that?
Depends. It depends a whole lot.
Okay.
Um, if this person, so I'll give you an example where yes, if I'm walking down the street and I'm about to get hit by a car and some good Samaritan, and I know I'm using the phrase good Samaritan, so there you go. But if some good
Yeah.
Samaritan came up and pushed me out of the way and saved my life,
Yeah.
then yes, I would say that is an honorable thing to do. That is a good thing to do. This is what I would
No, no,
say.
no, no, no. We're not talking about somebody pushing you. We're talking about somebody dying in your place.
I know he pushes me out of the way, he saves my life, and he dies instead, right?
Exactly. And then give me a
So
situation where somebody gives up his life for you that you wouldn't thank him.
okay, here's a hypothetical example. Let's
Yeah.
say that I was born, and the moment I was born, whoever my caretaker is, they started torturing me a little bit each day. They kept me in a state where I could still live, but I was chained to a wall, and they would torture me every single day, day in and day out. Now, the police come, right? And the police come when I'm, I don't know, let's say 25. When I'm 25, the police come. Now, at this point, I've had 25 years of endless torture and pain and suffering at the hands of this person. Now,
Yeah.
if the police come and they're having a gunfight and with this guy who's about to, who's been torturing me, and they're having a gunfight, and a stray bullet is coming towards me, and this man who's been torturing me thinks, no, I want to keep that person alive so I can keep torturing him, and jumps in front and saves my life. I'm sorry, but that person is not worthy of my worship, let alone my respect. Fuck that guy.
But dude, that person is not trying to save you for your own good. What Jesus Christ is not is
But
not saving people to torture them.
that's not, yeah, but that's
It's
not
a
what you
bad
said. You said
analogy.
save them. Now
That's a
you're
bad,
introducing
bad
save them
analogy.
for their own good.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I was talking about. Like you are saying that you're giving an analogy that's pretty much different from what I'm talking about. When you give
Okay.
an analogy, at least the analogy has to fit to what we are
No,
talking about.
you are changing what you are talking about. Before, you said if someone gave their life for you,
Yeah,
if
to
someone
say,
died
yeah,
in your place.
yeah.
Now, what you're saying, if someone died in your place for your benefit, you're adding
But
things.
the analogy that you are giving, if somebody jumps in front thinking, like the dude doesn't have any bulletproof in him, and he jumps in front of you like, I want to protect this, that's an oxymoron. Somebody jumps with the bulletproof and says that, okay, I want to die so I can keep torturing this guy. If he's gonna die, how come he's gonna keep like torturing you if he's gonna die at that moment? That doesn't make any
Because
sense, bro.
the memory of that incident would
Yeah.
haunt me for the rest of my life. Seeing
Ah, come on,
someone
sis. That's a
murdered.
bad analogy. Don't use that.
No,
Come
it
on,
is
man.
a
For
good
real.
analogy, and I'll use it. No, the memory of me seeing that person die in front of me would haunt me for the rest of my life. Okay?
Okay, so you're saying that that guy would just jump in front of you so that you could keep the memory.
You said, give
No,
me
I'm
an
asking you.
example. No, no. You said, give me an example where someone would die for you in your place where they are not worthy of worship, they're not worthy of respect, whatever, right? I
Yeah,
gave you an example. And now what you're doing is
that's a
you're
false analogy.
changing your
That's a
question.
false example. Why?
No,
I'm not changing my question.
it's not an analogy. First of all, it's not an analogy. It's a thought experiment. So if you're
Okay,
going to use a term,
and it's a
please make
bad
sure you're
thought
using it
experiment.
correctly. Now, when we use thought experiments, they don't need to be realistic, right? This is a fantastical sort of conjuring of my imagination that I came
But
up with.
that's a really bad thought experiment, bro.
No, why is it bad?
The problem is like the thing that you are giving, the idea that you are giving is not exactly the same thing that I'm talking about. It doesn't
Oh,
even
hold on.
fit
No, no. It
what I'm
was what
talking
you were talking about, and then after I gave it, you switched what you were talking about. You
Okay, do you
added
think that Jesus Christ, when he died on the cross, he wanted people to
I
keep
don't
having
think
the idea that they might die, that they should be like according to the thought experiment that you gave. When Jesus
I have
Christ died
no
on the
idea.
cross,
I have no idea if that happened, what his thoughts were. I don't know what his thoughts were.
Okay.
But
Okay.
let's use your new reformulated different sort of question. If someone died for me
I
for
didn't
my own
reformulate the
good,
question, bro.
if someone died for, well, you did, you can re-listen. You added something
Okay, sure,
extra.
sure, no problem. But the thing is, if always I talk about Jesus Christ dying on the cross for you, you always know that I'm talking about for your own good. I've
Oh,
said that in
well,
the
no,
beginning.
I
But
don't
anyway,
know that. I
we
don't know
can
that. And this
we
is
can
why
rewatch. We can
this
watch the debate again. I mean, like I will watch. I will see that if I made a mistake, I will I'll correct
no,
myself.
no,
But
it's you might
I
not have
think
made a mistake, but what you did
I
do,
think you pretty much know that when somebody talk about Jesus dying on the cross for your sins, bro, he's talking about a situation where he wants the good of you for your own
well,
good.
first
He
of
did
all,
that for your own good.
I don't know that. And second of all, I don't think that's what we were talking about. But even if it were, this little example here
Yeah.
highlights exactly what I said earlier, where we need to be specific with what we mean. You said something, and I addressed exactly what you said. And then later on, you changed what you said to maybe more accurately reflect what you meant, right?
Okay, we will see that. We will see that.
So that's
You will post the video, right? So we will see that.
well, you can watch it when it goes up. I mean, that's fine.
We'll see that. Of course, no problem. I'm gonna see
Yeah,
the video.
sure. You
Yeah,
you can watch it all you want. Be my guest.
I'm
So
gonna see the video.
my point is to answer this new question that you ask, if someone died for me in my place for my own good, would I worship them? What's worship? Worship is a very heavy word. I mean, I think that sort of
Bro,
being
I'm really tired of keep defining terms, and I have to go. Like I
well, I
already
know,
told you,
but
man.
remember, we need
I'm so tired, man. I've
okay.
been,
Okay, no, no, I hear you. So here's
because if we keep defining terms, it's gonna push us to another, to something else, and to something else, and to something else. And
well,
I'm sorry, it's not gonna.
you keep bringing up these terms and you don't define them. And that leads to confusions like the
The
one
thing is
we
that
just had.
the thing is like you exactly know what I'm talking about. But the
No,
thing
I
is, you want
don't
to
though. That's the
define
thing.
things so
I don't.
they can fit within your worldview. You understand? Because every definition that I give you, you say no, I don't agree with that. I don't. That's not how I will define it. That's not how I would define it. So why are you asking me to give a definition where you already know that my definition is not gonna fit to what you want?
Because I don't already know this. This gets back to you believing that you understand what I do and do not know, or what I do and do not believe. I'm trying to make our conversation as clear as it can possibly be. And I want to make sure that I'm not using terms, I'm not answering your questions using ideas that are different than the ones you're presenting. So if you ask me, can you account for truth? I need to know what you mean by truth before I can answer that question. If you ask me, as you did, would you worship this God if I proved him to you? I need to know what you mean by
I
worship.
gave
Now,
you when we talk about truth, I gave you two definitions. I asked you which one do you want. Does it you ask what's your definition of truth according to my
yeah,
worldview?
yeah,
It's
I get
whatever God says or everything that conforms to the mind of God. And then I
sure.
gave you another definition, that which conforms to reality. And let's
I
talk about it. And then you say, no, I don't agree with that. I have my own definition of truth. And
yeah,
that's
I
something
think
else. The thing
both of
is,
those definitions
no
are
matter
equally
what
useless.
well, okay, that's okay then. It's useless for one to define that truth is that which corresponds to reality. It's
Yes,
useless. That's
because
okay.
then, I mean, if you're trying to talk about some sort of objective thing, but if you're trying to talk about practical
So,
usage, we
so
have no way
truth
of
is
determining.
subjective.
Hold on. If we're trying to talk about practical usage, we have no way of determining for certain what reality is. Now, if we want to use that which conforms to reality in sort of a fallibilistic sense, then I'll agree to that. But that's not what you're
When you say
proposing.
fallibilistic science, what are you talking about?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
When you say fallibilistic, what are you? You mean like define truth as something that can be fallible? Truth
No,
is
no,
that
no, no.
which can be fallible.
Is that truth? If we're going to use this definition, I'll define truth in a way that maybe I'd use it. That, and I'm trying to reformulate your definition in a way that I would use it. Truth is that which corresponds to reality. However, when we try to understand that reality, we are doing so from a fallibilistic standpoint. So we
And
can't know for
that
absolute
ruins your
certain.
worldview. Exactly. And that ruins your worldview. That's why you don't like that definition.
No, it doesn't.
Of
It
course it
doesn't,
does.
because
That's why
it's
you
not a
don't like that
problem.
definition. And that's exactly what you were saying. You were about to say right now that we cannot know for certain which the absolute reality is. That's why you don't even like that definition, because you know what I was going to ask you. Do you know that you're experiencing an absolute reality? And then
No,
you
I
say, I
don't.
don't know. Exactly. And that's the thing. That's why you don't like that definition,
Okay,
because it
but what?
challenges your worldview again.
No, it doesn't challenge it. It's not a part of it, and it doesn't need to be a part of it. It explains
Okay.
nothing.
Okay, man, can we take this conversation in some other time? Because,
Yeah, you
bro,
can take it whenever you
I
want.
have to really take a rest, and
No,
probably can
no,
continue
I hear
sometime.
you.
I really appreciate talking to you, man. It's really it's a
Okay, but
thought building, and I
if we're
really
going to
appreciate
have
talking.
conversations like this, you
Yeah,
need to come to the discussion in good faith. You need to come to the discussion with the idea that you're actually going to listen to what I say, and you're not just going to, no matter what I say, still
okay.
believe that I know God exists.
Give me an example where I didn't listen to what you were saying.
Okay. I don't believe God exists. Now,
That's okay.
being in good faith means that you need to accept the truth of what I'm saying. To an extent, you need to understand that I am trying to tell you what I believe is true.
That's okay.
Okay? So,
Yeah.
do you believe that I don't know God exists?
If I believe that you don't know that God exists,
Yeah.
no, I don't believe that. Of course, I don't believe that.
Okay. Well,
Regardless,
then we
look,
can't really
look,
get anywhere, can we?
look. Listen. Regardless of what I say, what you are is what you are. You understand? It's like you asking, for example, a transgender. For example, a transgender will come
Well,
to
let's
me,
not get
for
into that.
instance.
What I am is what I am, and you're trying to say that
Exactly,
I am something. And
exactly,
I'm trying to
exactly.
tell you that
Regardless,
I'm not.
that's okay. That's okay. And I'm saying that that's not the case. I know that you believe that God exists. Whether you want to accept that or not, that's okay. You don't
Okay.
need to be.
I
You don't
I
need to be
think
mad at that.
guess what, Ben? I think
Yeah.
you believe I no, I think actually no, not even I think. You know Zeus exists.
If I know that Jews exist,
No, you
I
do
don't
know
know
that.
that. I
Yes, you
don't know
do.
that.
Yes, you do.
Oh, no, actually, I know that Zeus doesn't exist.
No, you know
Actually,
Zeus does exist. You're just repressing it.
okay, I'm repressing that Zeus exists. So you are not an atheist anymore.
No, I know that you know Zeus exists.
Do you know that Zeus exists?
Oh, I know you know.
No, I'm asking if you know that Zeus exists.
Well, how do you know that?
If you know that Zeus exists, in order for you to tell me that I know that Zeus exists, you need to know that Zeus exists. Do
How
you
do you
know
know
that
that?
Zeus exists?
Well, how do you
No, no.
know what you just said?
How do I know what?
How do you what you just said? How do you know that?
How do I know what?
Okay, let's try again. You know
Yeah.
Zeus exists.
Okay. Do you know that Zeus exists?
No, I'm asking you. I'm
Okay.
not even asking you. I'm telling you. You know Zeus
Ask the question
exists.
again. Ask the question again. Oh, assert whatever you want to assert.
Okay, you know Zeus exists.
I don't know that Zeus exists. I know that Zeus doesn't exist, actually.
No, you're just repressing that.
I'm repressing that.
You're
And how
repressing
do you
the
know?
existence of Zeus.
And how do you know that I know that Zeus exists?
Because Zeus has revealed it to me such that I can be certain of it.
Oh, so you are not an atheist anymore? Zeus has revealed things to you?
How do you know I'm not an atheist?
No, I'm asking you
No,
if
no,
Zeus
how
has
do you
revealed
know?
things. How do I know that you're
Yeah,
not an
your
atheist?
worldview can't account for knowledge. It can only
Well,
account for
because,
knowledge if you believe in Zeus.
oh, so you believe in Zeus? That's my question to you.
No, I'm telling you, you know Zeus exists.
Yeah, and I'm asking you if you
You
believe
see
in
how
Zeus.
pointless a conversation like that is?
No,
Do you see
in
how
order,
utterly pointless it is?
Christian, in
When
order for
someone
you to
comes to the
make a
table,
claim,
no, when someone comes to the table from an intellectually dishonest position and comes to a conversation not in good faith, that conversation can go nowhere.
in order for you to say that I know that Zeus exists, you just admitted that Zeus has revealed things to you, and he has revealed to you that I know that he exists. And I'm asking you, do you believe that Zeus exists? And you don't want to answer that question.
Do you know what acting is?
Acting what?
Just the verb to act.
Dude, do you think that the moon is made of green cheese?
Okay. Well, I really recommend that you go to
No,
Google and type
answer
in
that question.
acting and
No,
see
answer
what
that
comes up.
question. Answer that question. Answer that question. Do you think that the moon is made of green cheese?
Okay, acting is over. I'll answer the question. No, I don't think the moon is made of green cheese.
Okay, so then why are we here talking about things that none of us believe? You don't believe that Jews exist. I don't believe that Jews exist. And you keep asking me if I believe that Jews exist. And you think, and you
Again,
are certain Jews has revealed things to you. You know, you have given up your worldview. And that's
again,
exactly what happens
do
to
you know
atheists
what
almost all the
acting
time. They
is?
have to quit. They have to quit your worldview. That's exactly. I don't want to talk
Oh,
about acting, dude.
well,
I
you
want to talk
should
about what you
because
believe.
it's very, very important. Act, verb. Let's look it
Yeah.
up,
Because I want
right?
to talk about what you believe, dude. I don't want to talk about acting. So we'll be wasting our time
Well,
here
no,
if
no,
we talk about the acting.
that little point, right, was
Yeah,
to demonstrate that
yeah,
if someone comes to a conversation
yeah.
in bad faith, that conversation gets bogged down and it goes nowhere. The way that you approach conversations is nearly identical to the way that I acted there. And
It's not
whenever,
identical. I assert that God exists, and He has revealed to me, at the same way that He did to you, that He exists. You
okay,
understand? And I'm telling you what God has revealed. And now you are bringing Zeus, and I'm
yeah,
asking you, do you know that Zeus exists? You said, no, no, no. Yeah, I just know you're repressing the truth of that, and Zeus has
yeah,
revealed to me.
I was
And I'm
acting, I
asking you,
was pretending, I was playing make believe, if you
but
will.
I'm not acting though. I'm not here to
I
talk
I
about
know I
acting.
know you aren't, but the
Exactly.
entire purpose of my little skit there
So then why
was
not
to
talk about
highlight.
something else?
No, why my
Why?
entire purpose was to highlight that everything that you do is exactly what I did in that skit, with the exception
Okay,
that
do you
I
think do you
changed
think
the
that I'm
word.
acting? Do you think
I
that I'm acting?
changed I changed the word Zeus from the word God, right?
Let me ask
I
you
just
this.
switched
Let me
out
ask you
one
this
little
question.
word.
Let me ask you this question because I have to go. I
You
really
can
have to
ask
go.
all the
Do
questions
you
you
think?
want.
Do you think that I'm acting when I say that I believe in God?
Do I think you're acting? No, I
Yes.
think you're being completely dishonest, though.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
that
That's
if you
okay.
were acting,
Thanks.
you would be better.
Okay. Good. Thanks for the answer.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Do you know why I said that?
If I know, if you say what?
Do you know why I said it would be better if you were acting?
If I was acting what?
Okay. So when you say God exists, you're not
Yeah.
acting, right?
No, I'm not acting.
Okay. And I'm saying that it would be better if you were. Do you know why
If I
I'm
was
saying that?
acting, why?
Yeah. Do you know why?
Why?
Because if you were acting, then conceivably you'd be able to step out of character and understand my position. But
Okay,
from the position you are
let me ask
in,
you this
you
question.
are bound not to.
Sure. Let me ask you this question. If you said, for instance, that you have a wonderful relationship with your wife and you just don't know that your wife exists, would that be accurate?
What do you mean? Would it be accurate? I don't have a wife, so what do you
No, no,
mean?
no, no. Okay, well, this is just a simple example that I'm giving. It's an analogy. If you had
Okay.
a wife, for
Well, not
instance,
analogy, but
and you said,
maybe.
yeah, it's a thought
Okay. So
experiment.
let's say I have a
If
wife and I say I have a good relationship with my wife. Okay.
you just don't know that she exists,
Would that make sense?
yeah.
Well, I don't think so. Why?
And that's
Why would I?
exactly what you're asking me. You're saying that okay, you know that God exists, but at
No, no,
least you
no,
should
no.
act as if you knew that God exists.
No, this is very, very different. It's like me going to you saying, I have a very good relationship with my wife. And you saying to me, I don't believe you. And I'm saying, no, no, I have a wife. And you're saying, well, can you prove
No,
it?
no, no.
And
I'm
I say,
saying
well, no, no, no. My wife has revealed to me in such a way that I can know for certain that she exists.
no, no,
So
no.
you
I'm
should
talking.
believe
These
me.
are two different things. These are two
No,
different
that's
things here.
I know,
These
but
are
that
two different
analogy,
things.
if you're
You
going to take
said
if you're going to use that analogy, then you have to use it to its fullest extent,
what you are
right?
telling me. You are telling me that I should act that God exists and not believe that God exists. I should be open to the idea that there could be no God. That's what you're telling me. You
You
understand?
should be intellectually open to the possibility that perhaps you, as a fallible human being, hold beliefs that may be wrong. Yes.
Okay.
And
Are
if
you
you
open to
don't
the
do
idea
that,
that there
you
is
are
a
not
God?
being intellectually honest.
Okay. Man, it was good talking to you. I gotta
Like
go, man.
you,
Been
you
here for
should.
quite a while.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Bye. Take care.
Okay,
Oh,
so it was nice talking to you, man. See you next
always a
time.
pleasure. It's always
Yeah.
fun.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
All right.